welcome. I'm Jeanette Mulvey, the editor-in-chief of CO by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. This is our third discussion in a video series CO is hosting in partnership with the Chamber's America Works initiative. This is aimed at helping your business through the workforce shortage. Each month, we'll bring you a discussion with a Chamber expert on a new topic to help you attract, retain, and support your employees. So today we're talking about how immigration and foreign nationals can help small businesses in America meet their critical workforce needs. Here to discuss how small businesses can consider integrating immigrant workers into your workforce is John Baselice, Vice President of Immigration Policy at the U.S. Chamber. Welcome, John.
Hi, Jeanette.
Thanks so much for doing this. Immigration is a little bit overwhelming for a lot of small businesses, so I'm hoping you can break it down for us today. So let's just start with the basics. How are the companies that you're working with and talking to leveraging immigration programs to meet their hiring challenges?
Jeanette, it's a great question. And there are a lot of varying immigration programs that are out there that help companies meet their workforce needs. And to be frank, it depends upon the nature of the work that your company has. For high-skilled tech companies, they use the H-1B program, they use the L-1 program, the TN program, and the E program. These programs are designed to meet the needs for companies that have year-round, high-skilled, high-educated job opportunities that they cannot fill. If, on the other hand, your company is a seasonal business where you are a seafood processor or you're a landscaper, or many other companies that fall into this seasonal workforce need category, the H-2B program is something that lots of companies are using to meet their workforce needs. There are also agricultural producers in the United States. They have the H-2A program. They use that program to help make sure that crops are picked in a timely fashion, so the food that we eat gets to our grocery stores in time where it's nice and right for us to eat it. So there's a lot of programs that are out there. Most companies are using those programs, which are non-immigrant visa programs. Those are the programs that a lot of companies are relying upon because, at least historically, it allows companies that have dire workforce needs to be able to meet them in a timely fashion. There are also employment-based immigrant visas, which are for individuals seeking lawful permanent resident status. That process is much more timely, or time-consuming, I should say. And if you have critical needs right now, the green card categories are they're more difficult to use if you're trying to meet workforce needs in a timely fashion.
So let me ask you, could you clarify, you mentioned non-immigrant and immigrant, which I didn't even realize that there were, I don't know a lot about this, but I didn't even realize there were two separate kinds of visas you could do. So could you just clarify? I think you were saying like one means the person just wants to come here to work and the other means that they would like to come here permanently, but could you just clarify that?
Yes, the non-immigrant visa categories, those are categories that are for individuals who want to come here temporarily to the United States. So the nature of their work is temporary. So whether you're looking at an H-1B, the max you can have on any one visa at any given time is 3 years. For the H-1B, you can extend it once for another 3-year period. And at some point, if you hit that 6-year period, which is the max you can stay on your H-1B, unless the employer wants to hire you, or at least employ you, I should say, on a permanent basis moving forward. In those situations, a company can apply for permanent residency for the worker that they really like, and that person can continue to stay in the United States on their H-1B. The H-2 programs are a little different. There are the seasonality requirements that are associated with these programs. Requires you can only work for one season and then you have to go home. But the company can rehire that individual if they want for an ensuing season. So it all depends on the program and the nature of the work, the job opportunity, I should say, that needs to be filled.
Just out of curiosity, and then I'll get us to sort of how businesses can get information on all of these programs, because obviously this conversation is just a starting point. But I was wondering if you did hire an employee using one visa and then at some point wanted to transition them to a different kind of work or a longer period, or they wanted to switch from being immigrant to non-immigrant to immigrant, does that happen? Can people file for a new visa for the same worker?
Yes, it absolutely can happen. But as anyone who is familiar with the immigration laws of the United States of America, things are very complicated. So there are certain rules that companies must abide by if they want to do this. There are also certain rules for individual visa categories that require you, in some instances, there are no ways for an individual to easily transition from one particular non-immigrant status that they have to, say, an immigrant status that they have. This is something that you see in the treaty trader and treaty investor visas under the E classification. That's something that, as you are considering what your options are as a company, it really becomes important as to what your needs are and what you're looking to get out of that individual. If you're trying to hire someone and have them be in your employ for a long period of time, you're going to look at certain programs more favorably than others.
Right. Okay. So you took us right where we needed to be, which is, you said, when you're thinking about it, and so I'm a small business. I've never done this before. I'm thinking, is this right for me? What are the things that a business owner, really big or small, should be thinking about when they're deciding whether to pursue immigrant workers?
There are several critical factors that a company needs to look at if this is something that's their first time trying to meet their workforce needs with foreign national workers. The first one, I think this is absolutely critical, is your choice of legal representation. If you're having open heart surgery, you clearly do not want to have a podiatrist performing the surgery. So why would you have a criminal defense attorney do your immigration law work? You need to find a competent immigration counsel that has experience and has been successful in helping other companies meet their workforce needs. And one other point that's related to this is throughout the immigration bar, there are attorneys that specialize in certain programs. So if you have a seasonal workforce need, let's say you are a hotel and you're trying to find individuals that are going to help make sure the restaurant in your hotel operates and make sure that the bed sheets are changed every day. This is something that you're going to want to have attorneys that represent you that have done H-2B casework before. Having someone that has done removal defense is not something that you want to spend your time and trouble on, because that's not something they're familiar doing. The second thing, and this kind of gets back to what I was just saying in terms of what are the workforce needs that you have. The attorney is going to help you figure out what are the best visa classifications that will help your business meet its workforce needs in a timely fashion. So if you're a small tech firm, you're going to want to look at the H-1B. You're going to want to look at the E. You're going to want to look at the TN category, which is a special category for Canadian and Mexican nationals that come here to do professional jobs. If you are an agricultural producer, the H-2A program is what you're going to want to turn to. If you are a seafood processor or you're a landscaper, the H-2B program is something you're going to want to look at to meet your workforce needs. And third, and this is also very important, and it's very difficult to do in this time where companies across a host of industries are struggling to meet their workforce needs, you have to build time into your ability to, you try and predict what you're going to need moving forward, which is very difficult to do. I admit that, but the immigration system can move frustratingly slow, particularly after the height of COVID, and everything just came to a grinding halt. So things that used to take a few months to process are now taking upwards of a year. Things that used to take years or a year are now taking years. So when you are thinking of trying to meet your workforce needs, it's not something where, I need workers today, and you're going to be able to flip a switch and get your workers today. This is something where you've got to think of at least a few months down the road, because some programs like the H-2A and the H-2B program, they require you to do a labor certification. And that means you have to show that you've actively recruited for a set amount of time before you try to hire a foreign national worker. Other programs like the H-1B, they require the company to do a labor condition application, which means you need to put together this form that basically says we're going to pay this individual the required wage that he or she needs to be able to take this line of work in the United States in the area where the job is located. Other programs, I'll go back to the H-1B, they have a registration requirement if you need a new worker. So this is something where every March, anybody who needs an H-1B worker has to file for this registration. If you don't, you're basically locked out until the next year. So these are things that having competent counsel guide you is the importance can't be underestimated in terms of how that can determine whether your company is successful or not in meeting its workforce needs.
Great. Okay. So as someone who knew nothing about this before we started, here are my 3 takeaways so far. First of all, there are different visas depending on the kind of work you need done and the circumstances of that work and the time. The second is you must get competent legal representation and really someone who specializes in this field. And lastly, you really need to build time into your schedule. You really need to be planning quite far out in advance. So with that in mind, if I were a small business owner who says, okay, I can do all of those things and I'm going to pursue this, what are the resources? Where would they get started if they had nothing but those 3 pieces of information today?
Well, there's a few places you can start. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce has a few articles on its website that can help you get a basic frame of reference for, oh, well, this is my business, and it seems like my company would fit the workforce needs I'm trying to fill would fit within this particular visa category. The American Immigration Lawyers Association, which the U.S. Chamber partners with on a whole slew of policy issues, they actually have a registry online for all their AILA immigration attorney members. It's ailalawyer.com. That's AILA lawyer, all one word.com. And you can go there and you can basically let them know, like, this is where my business is located. I definitely need a business immigration attorney. And this group can help you get hooked up with an attorney that practices in your area near where your business is located. That's one thing that I would certainly do if I were new to this game, so to speak.
Yeah, these are great resources, and we will link to all of these places in the article that accompanies this video so everyone will be able to find them. So before we go, just one last question. Are there any other resources that you wanted to mention that businesses could leverage for this purpose?
Yes, Jeanette. Given the difficulties that companies are having in meeting their workforce needs, it really has been surprising to me to see how many companies that are looking to hire refugees, asylees, and other displaced persons in the United States to help meet their workforce needs. And the Chamber has worked with the Tent Partnership for Refugees, and they have on their website an awful lot of resources that help companies who are interested in seeking to fill their workforce needs with refugees. They can help out quite a bit in terms of letting you know the basics of how to do this and what's required of you. I think the other things to keep in mind as a company is looking to hire workers to the more traditional employment-based immigrant and non-immigrant visa categories is you got to think about the individual you want to hire as well. In some cases, the individual would like to bring their spouse and their children with them. Oftentimes, this is something that, the cost of doing this, they get passed on to the company that wants to sponsor that worker to come here. So keeping that in mind in terms of, all right, how much is this going to cost me? It's definitely something you should keep in mind as you are looking at utilizing the immigration programs that are available to you to meet your workforce needs. The other thing that it's tangentially related to this is, if someone is bringing their spouse with them, does the spouse want to work in the United States as well? This is important in terms of realizing, okay, there are a few programs that are available to me that allow me to do this. There are also ones that don't allow you to do this. So the L1, the E program, those programs allow the dependent spouse to get work authorization relatively easily. In the H-1B program, that's not the case. So these are other factors that you should keep in mind as you're considering what to do to meet your workforce needs. And if you're looking to foreign nationals to meet your workforce needs, these are things that you can you need to consider. But all of this is helpful when you're working with competent counsel. So I don't want to come back to that point and beat a dead horse, but it's incredibly important for you as a small business owner to hire a competent attorney who can help you strategize how to go about this and meeting your workforce needs.
Well, I think that's great advice, and I'm glad that you repeated it. So thank you so much, John. That's actually all we have time for today. I really appreciate it, and the audience will we will be linking to all those resources. Next month, we'll do a deep dive on creating opportunities for employment for the differently abled, and you can find more information on the entire U.S. Chamber America Works program on the website we linked to below. So thank you to everyone. Thank you, John, and everyone take care.